Hi everyone, this is Janice again with Needles and Fashion, and I'm here to give you a tutorial on making pattern M6744, which is a maxi dress. You can do it in a long and a short version. And I'm going to be doing it with this very lovely sheer animal print fabric that has a tad bit of turquoise in it. So what I did is I did a little bit of prepping before I began recording, and there's going to be a couple different things I'm going to do. I went ahead and cut all my pieces out, and I went ahead and made some adjustments to both the front and the back, so we're going to cover those first. So for the front, I went ahead and I don't really like the sleeves. I've done this dress before last year, so I didn't want the sleeves to kind of hang over, so I wanted to be more of a tank type top for the dress, and I didn't want it to be the same as view A or B, which is on here, which is sort of a tank top. I wanted to be more along the lines of view D, which is what we'll be working on today, but I just wanted to remove the sleeve portion of it. So what I did was I cut my patterns out, pieces out, and I went ahead and used a featherweight fusible interfacing that I put on here because I didn't want it to be see-through. So I did that, this interfacing for the top pieces for the top front, and I did 18-inch sections for the skirt portion so that it doesn't show any of my goodies. So you can see that here. This is my back piece, one of my front pieces, and I also did it with the other front piece and the back. I did not put any facing on the back portion because I'm okay with the back actually having a little bit of sheerness to it. You won't be able to see all the way through it, and you'll see in the final pictures on exactly how it looks. So what I did with the front piece, I went ahead and did the first portion, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how I actually did this actual cutout. What I did was I took my grid line ruler and I measured in a total of 7 inches from the side seams, and that's going to be what would have been the shoulder. And I took my my French curve and I curve out, you know, some of that fabric. The gauge that I used was the 7 inches at the top, and also your darts on your pattern where you start your side seam. So from the dart to 7 inches in, I used my French curve and I curved out a new arm band. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. So I did the front piece. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that on the back. So that's what I'm doing now. I laid my pieces together and aligned them. And I'm just going to duplicate the same thing I did and cut that out. And that's done. So I have the adjustments to the front piece. I went ahead and did the same thing already to the back piece so that those pieces are going to match together perfectly. As you can see, the side seams match perfectly. So that's already done. Now, the second thing, or actually the third that I did, was the actual elastic guide. The elastic guide calls for about 8 inches or so of elastic to accommodate for the sleeve. 8, 10, 12, somewhere around there. But what I did was I cut 4-inch elastic seams for this. So we went ahead and made the adjustments. I adjusted down my elastic guide to 4 inches, which I've already done, and I have those pieces here. And, you know, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and get the front pieces sewn together to the back. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my front piece to my back. So I have my front piece with the right side up. I'm going to take my front piece here. Where are we? This is the arm, okay. This is this piece. I'm just going to go ahead and line that up. It's me here. And the same thing with the other side. I'm just going to go ahead and pin that. It's the cording. This is the first step that you're going to do. according to the pattern. So I went ahead and I got that pinned together. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the machine. I'm going to do my 5/8 of an inch seam. Okay, so now we're back. I went ahead and did the first side already, so I'm just going to go ahead and sew my my other arm, or sew my other front and back together at the shoulders. And I'm showing the standard 5/8 of an inch. Then we're going to go ahead and sew the 1/4 inch, which will be the casing for the elastic. Okay, so we got that portion done. We're going to go ahead and proceed over to putting the elastic into the casing. Okay, so now at this time, we're going to go ahead and put my elastic in. I went ahead and grabbed a safety pin because I actually misplaced my elastic guide that's small enough to fit through this area, so I'm going to use this instead. Go ahead and remove that. And I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and secure that really quick with my sewing machine. Do this other side. Okay, so I got that. Let me grab my scissors. It's not the one I wanted, but this will work. And I'm just going to cut off that elastic and a little bit of the excess fabric there on both sides. Cut off my threads here. And I'm going to go ahead and proceed over to the other side. My elastic here. Let's try this side. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing. Get that spread out. Leave 1/4 inch on both sides. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and secure those. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that elastic off. So this is a fabric that does fray. So what I'm going to do real quick is just serge the ends of these. The edge of the casing, just to keep it clean and make sure it doesn't fray at any portion once I go ahead and wash this fabric. And then I'll come back and then we'll go ahead and get started on the next portion of this particular pattern. Okay, so I went ahead and serged the edge of the casing and just to keep it secure so it doesn't fray anymore. We're going to have to do the same thing to some other edges, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. Okay. The next portion of this pattern tells you to do a narrow 5/8 edge, seam from the opening edges, which would be the part that crisscrosses across your body, the neckline, the back, and the other side. So that's what we're going to do now. Now I'm just eyeballing this, but you definitely want to, you know, probably press this out if you're not used to doing this. When I get to the neckline, I'm going to go ahead and double fold to achieve my 5/8 inch. And I'm doing that because I went ahead and serged the edges, so I just want to make sure everything's clean. Actually, I'm just going to fold it in the regular way. There we go, yeah. Just being careful because this fabric is very fragile. So I'm just doing a little portion of it at a time and stopping and checking. I'm coming back around to the front side. And that's done. I'm going to go ahead and give this a good pressing, check all of my seams, and then we'll move on to the next portion of this particular tutorial. We're going to go, we got our neckline and front bodice hem with a 5/8 inch seam. I went ahead and did the first side. The next portion of this is to sew your side seams together. So I went ahead and did the first side. I'm going to go ahead and do the other. I already have it pinned. So I'm just going to insert it here and sew. With the 5/8 inch seam allowance. So I got my second side done. I'm going to take this over to my serger real quick and serge these edges. Then I'm going to come back. Actually, I can do this now while we're here. I'm going to go ahead and fold over a 5/8 inch seam for the armholes and go ahead and sew that around. I'm going to check my seams there. Okay, so we got one armhole done that just needs a good pressing. I'm going to go over to the other arm and do that one as well. And what I did was stretch the elastic away from the actual hem. And what I'm doing is I'm lifting up my foot because I'm switching over to the area where the fabric is sheer in the back. I just want to make sure that I'm not getting this beautiful fabric offline and that it's, you know, causing any ripples. So I'm doing that to make sure it doesn't get any ripples under the foot. It's just something that I kind of started doing a while back. Nearing the edge here. Now we're all done. Just going to go ahead and clip off my threads here. I'm going to give this a good pressing, and I'm going to take this garment over to the serger and go ahead and finish off the side seams that I promised, and then we'll go ahead and proceed over to the next portion. Okay, so we have our top done and set aside. I will say that once you finish your top, you want to make sure that you try your top on and see how it lays on your body. If there's any gaping anywhere because of the adjustments that we made, you might want to slip a dart in there, and that's exactly what I did with mine. I went ahead and, you know, folded my fabric, the front pieces in half with the seam and the side seam together, and just put a little dart in there. It's about an inch dart. So I did that just to make sure it lays correctly. The next portion of this pattern is what you're going to do is you're going to take your inner, like the center front of your front pieces, and you're going to do a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance on that. So that's what we're going to do right now. And this is going to be the part that's going to be open in the front. So you're going to make sure you have a really good, nice, neat seam in there. And I didn't press this, but I'm letting my finger guide exactly where my fabric needs to fold. And I'm not pulling it from the other side, I'm just kind of guiding it correctly. don't have to do it, but it's something that I kind of started doing. It makes me comfortable with my hemming because I'm not a real big pinner when I sew. Now I'm on to the portion of the fabric that is completely sheer without defacing. Just taking my time here. And I'm giving a little bit of tension because I don't want this fabric to snag because it's very delicate. So. So I have my first one done. I'm going to go ahead and work on the second one. And the way you know which part of it, if you haven't marked it or are not able to tell by now, the inner portion of this particular piece for the front has a curved edge and your side seam has a straight edge. Okay, so I have this part done. I'm going to go ahead and press this, and then we're going to go on to attaching the front pieces to the back. So we'll be right back, and we'll go ahead and begin with the construction of this particular tutorial is to go ahead and attach the front and the back pieces together. So I went ahead and did one side already, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed to the other side. And you're attaching your two front pieces to your one back piece. And you're using your 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm slowing down in this section because this is where there's no facing in the bottom part of the skirt. And I'm just being careful to prevent any snags. And one thing I did forget to mention is that I went ahead and pre-serged all the edges of this skirt. If you don't have a serger, you can go ahead and use a French seam, which is essentially just sewing your front and back pieces together with the wrong sides together first, using a 1/4 of an inch seam, and then going back, folding it back over with right sides together, and doing a 5/8 of an inch. What that's going to do is encase the raw edges into the seam. So I got that done. I'm going to go ahead and press this out, and then we're going to go ahead and start on the next part of this tutorial. So we have our front and our back pieces attached together, and the next portion of this pattern is to overlap the front pieces and do your base stitching to attach the front two pieces together. I did this a little bit different. What I did was I took the front pieces, and there's 2 darts for each front piece. What I did was folded those darts and matched them on each side. So for the left side, I matched the darts together, pressed it, and then the right side, I matched the darts together and pressed it. And then once I pressed it, it created a seam that allowed me to use as a guide. And what I did was, I used the end of my interfacing, which is 18 inches, which is how comfortable I am with the length of coverage that the facing actually serves for. And I went ahead and created a diagonal stitch from that crease that I made by putting the darts together on each side all the way down to the area where the facing stopped. And then I went ahead and cut off that area of the skirt. So instead of having an overlapping split, I'm going to actually have a center split right down the front. So it's not going to overlap at all. So that part is done. And I'm going to, so I have my skirt pretty much formed here. I have my split here in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and start preparing the top piece to be attached to the bottom piece. So we'll be right back. Go ahead and get the rest of the skirt completed and add the skirt to the top bodice. I'm going to go ahead and do the attachment of the front pieces together. So I didn't do that part, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Skip the little instructions a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I went ahead and aligned my notches for the front, and I'm going to go ahead and sew a 5/8 of an inch seam to attach the front pieces together. It's just going to take me a second here. So that portion of it is done. Cutting off my strings here. And I'm going to go ahead and place my front over my back piece. My top over my bottom piece. So I have the front here, and I have the front of my skirt. And I'm going to turn this inside out because we're going to put right sides together. Okay, so here's the front here. And I'm I'm just going to turn this front inside out. I'm going to put this over the skirt. And I'm going to align the side seams first and pin them. Okay, that's done. And I can pretty much like widen this out and show that the top and the bottom pieces are aligned. Just going to pull this down a little bit so I can get this out of the way. And I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. Now when you sew the top and the bottom piece together, you're going to sew it with a 7/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm going to start at the side seam. Get my 7/8 of an inch. Just checking and aligning my fabric here. Okay, so that's all done. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I'm going to go right back in and actually I'm going to go ahead and cut my elastic first, and then I'll go ahead and come back to this. So I'm going to cut my elastic, and I'll be right back so we can go ahead and work on the casing for the elastic for the middle part. And we're literally almost there. We're about 85%. Okay, so I have my elastic cut. So I have that prepped. So now I can kind of continue through. I'm going to go ahead and do my 1/4 of an inch seam to create the casing. This is the same exact thing we did with the elastic casing for the sleeve. stop 2 inches shy so I can get that elastic in there. And I have some fraying going on, but after I get this elastic in here, I'm going to go ahead and serge my edges. I'm going to start this way. I'm going to put my elastic in. Feed that all the way around. Now, this pattern doesn't have an elastic guide for the waist. What you're going to do is just cut out an elastic, it's comfortable size for your waist, and you're going to add 1 inch to it. Because you're going to be overlapping it once you get the elastic through. Okay, so I got my elastic through. I'm going to bring that out real quick. I'm going to turn this because I did a little twist right here. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and overlap this, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull it through. So I overlap my elastic by 1 inch. Going to pull it through the rest of the skirt. Get that on in there. It's going to require me to go around a couple of times. Okay, so we got it on in there. I'm going to go ahead and close up this seam. And I'm going to stitch the elastic in this area too while stretching it so that it doesn't twist at any point after I finish this garment. Okay, so I have that portion of it done. I'm going to take this to my serger and serge these edges so the fraying can stop, and then we'll move on to the actual fitting and the hemming of the bottom, and then we'll be all the way done. So I will be right back. So here you go. I went ahead and did a double 5/8 of 1 inch seam on the bottom of my dress, and I was literally complete. I went ahead and paired this with the Lafayette 148 belt. As you can see, just kind of give it a little bit more shape. I actually like the way these type of belts fit. I don't typically wear them too much anymore, but I think with a dress like this, it actually works pretty well, especially this one, which is a newer version to, you know, some of the past waist belts that today look very horrible. You know, I'm pretty much done. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you are successful in your attempt to actually make this dress as well. So be sure to check my blog, www.needlesandfashion.blogspot.com, for more DIY projects, pictorials, more tutorials. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I look forward to bringing you guys more videos in the future. So this is Janice for Needles and Fashion, and I'm signing off. I'll see you guys later.